Miller?
Call the meeting of the January 29th, 2025 Planning Commission for the City of Millwood to order. Start off with roll call. Via Zoom, Commissioner Molitor.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Rickard.
Here.
Commissioner Beasy.
Here.
Commissioner Wu.
Here.
And Chairman Ankney is here. All present and accounted for. We do have a quorum. First order of business will be approval of the meeting agenda. I looked over, looks like we've got a full night in front of us. Does anybody have any questions or remarks? If not, I'll seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, item number 3, presentations. Actually, what I don't see on here is approval of the meeting minutes for
It is,
4A. Oh,
if I can
the-
interject for just one moment, we're trying to streamline the agendas and so that they're all similar.
okay,
So now the action item will be under any action items, which is actually down under the plan.
okay.
Yes, number 4.
Okay.
So it's that under that now.
Okay, perfect,
Thank
okay. So item number 3 is presentations. Do we have any presentations? No, seeing none, perfect. Item number 4. So one of the first action items is to approve the meeting minutes from the November 26th Planning Commission. I think that's the one that we had just a little bit of a revision on. Is that correct?
No, this was our last real meeting.
Okay,
It's
all right.
been that long.
Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Okay, so I looked them over. I didn't see anything that stuck out. Does anybody else see anything? Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meetings from the November 26, 24 Planning Commission.
I abstain from this.
Okay. It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Action item number 4B, this would be the approval of the meeting minutes for the special meeting that we had in December. That was the joint meeting with us and the city council. I looked those over again and I really didn't see anything that stuck out to me. Anybody else have anything? Hearing nothing that way, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, so a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Those are approved. Okay, so our next action item is the periodic update, comprehensive plan, goals, policies, actions, framework planning, and the cross-check review from us. And I believe Amanda would like us to start with Commissioner Rickard's comments.
Thank you for submitting those.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for submitting your comments in hard copy. Do you want me to go ahead and pick it up?
Yep.
All right. So, Commissioner Rickard sent in his comments. They are on page 15 of your packet, so just behind the actual chapter itself. And I went through them. They looked great to me. We could just start off. The one thing that he caught that is pretty obvious, and I can't believe it wasn't in there originally. There is no capital facilities. Even though we have policies for CF, there was no listing for it.
I doubt that there may not have been a chapter for it originally.
There is. There is a
there?
capital facilities element. It's required, and there are policies in here for it.
Interesting.
So I wrote that down as definitely needing to be added there. And so that was item 1 on his list. Next was recommending that CR, which is the new abbreviation for the climate change and resiliency element, he suggested having that added to goal G-01 which seemed to make sense. Does anybody have any objection to that?
I know that there's a slight delay here, but I think all the Bill's recommendations were very well done.
Okay, I guess that's a quick and easy way. Did anybody have any objections to any of Bill's recommendations?
I
I
thought you
looked
did,
through them, they look good.
I thought you did
Okay.
a great job,
Okay,
Bill, on this, so.
number 3, I think already is.
XB be added
Oh,
to goal.
goal 2 and 4, it's already there. Transportation is already in goal 2 and 4.
It's not 3, yeah.
Okay.
Not 3 is. Thing-
Shopping districts
shopping
provide
districts.
uniquely different shopping experiences.
Yeah, it could go there too. And then I think I added P 18, 17, and 15 as also being good things for the climate resilience.
Let me get this note down and then I will get yours in, Bobby. P20. Okay, which ones did you want to add CR to?
Well, my note says 18, 17, 15, 17, and 18. If we're gonna go.
Policies? Policy
Yes,
15?
policies.
Okay.
P15.
So policy 15, preserve Millwood's Tree City designations. That seems like a CR to me.
Yeah, 16 is urban forestry.
Yep, CR.
And 17 is natural features and wildlife.
Yep.
So those seem like no-brainers as
Yep.
far as that is concerned.
Okay. So that took care of 1 and 2 and added that on. And then,
Yeah, we agreed with 3.
okay.
And that housing be added to goal 3. Yeah,
P on G3. Perhaps, were you okay with G2 and G4 as well?
they're already there,
G2.
I think.
Yes, it is actually, and G4, yes, they are, yeah. Okay. And then housing be added to goal G3?
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
Policies 2 and 4. Yeah,
Okay. 4? Okay. And then this was the discussion on the word elevate. Elevate site and building design expectations for housing and business projects. Yeah, the way I would read that is, increase the design standards to them. But I
Make 'em
understand
better,
where you're
yeah.
saying on the raise, yeah. Also elevate in a more literal sense. So is there another place? So maybe even under P5, differentiate the CBD along Argonne Road from the commercial business area on Trent. We could add an H to that and do like a sub part of it, encouraging mixed use.
so we want to encourage them, C2, it's already pretty well encouraged in our
Okay.
actual code. If we want to have them in C1 also, which I have no problem with.
Okay.
Then we're not differentiating.
Okay, that's true. So was that your thought, was to encourage in C2 and C1?
Yeah.
Okay,
So, so I don't think it
Because
really
seems
belongs
like
to
an awful lot of
differentiate.
residential units could be incorporated right into C1 on property.
okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we've always been kind of reluctant in C1 to allow housing. Just, it's pretty recently that we've allowed people to live over or behind their business in C1.
Yeah.
That's,
So under the P4 then, elevate site and building design expectations for housing and business projects, period. We could add to that, to allow for, or encourage multi-story buildings, with mixed use, residential use above, commercial retail use at the ground level.
Exactly what I had in mind.
Okay.
Right, so. Yeah, I'm just not sure structurally it belongs there. I'm not opposed to the concept,
Okay.
just. Let's put it down there and see if we bump
Okay.
into something else that, you know, makes even more sense to put it in.
Well, and it doesn't go with
Structurally.
the goal references too. That's the
Yeah.
cross-reference thing.
Yeah, and the policies and
Yeah.
there's a lot of,
Well, and there is, we could just add another policy too.
yes.
So,
So,
or even make it, that almost stands out that it could be even a goal to me, a goal 13.
the goal is to get more mixed-use housing, whether it's.
Yeah, a larger variety of housing options is G7.
Yes.
So maybe
okay.
it's already covered there in that one then?
Yes.
So if we make a new policy, then it could contribute to goal 7 and
Okay.
some of the others.
So policy 37, it definitely would be housing. And it would be, let me take it right off in here, encourage multi-story buildings.
Multi-story mixed use.
Buildings with mixed use. And then in parentheses, residential use above commercial retail use at ground level. Okay. So residential use above commercial retail use. And I'll put IE, because mixed use could be in other fashion, but I'll put IE. IE, residential use above commercial retail use at ground level. Okay, and then, it references, goal, what did we just say, goal 7?
Was it?
Yeah, I believe it
Seven.
was. Okay, G7. And then are there any other goals? Let's see. Efficient transportation pattern.
Well, there was the one about design standards. I mean, it could-
What about G, goal 2?
Goal 2? Communities and business development, yeah, G2.
Yeah.
Okay. G2 and.
G2. the
G7,
policy we just
G2,
made,
G8,
go for
really?
G2.
Oh, that's community groups, never mind.
Oh, and we should add
G7.
encourage multi-story buildings with mixed use, residential above, i.e. residential above commercial / retail use at ground level in the commercial districts.
Yes, yes. Specific.
Okay.
So we got G7, right?
G7 and G2.
How much opportunity for that is there really? Is there a lot?
There could be.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just curious.
I've had 2 discussions. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
We've got a few.
Yeah.
But if somebody is going to replace one of the old houses on Argonne or something on Trent, we've already got stuff written in the code to give them some advantages for putting residential on the second
In
story.
C2, I'd have to see if we do in
Yes, it's
C1,
not
and
in
that might
C1.
be something we want to add.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in C2 it is, so you just put a couple, it's like where I live.
Yeah,
We've got
business
retail downstairs and
party upstairs.
Well,
some days.
what made me think of that was they just got done rebuilding Chipotle and also building from the ground up that Starbucks.
Right,
And both of those could have easily incorporated 4 residences apiece in stories above the retail. It's pretty common. But instead we have a lot of drive-through.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just adding the
About
the
that.
cross references here as we talk.
Now, if I did go through and get all those cross references
Yes,
pretty much
that's what.
straightened out, do
Yeah.
you want that?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
That was-
And if you don't mind, we can go through them, or I can just go through and
Go,
correct
go through
everything.
them.
Go through them. Okay.
I figured out a plan, which is the actions had the right, mostly the right numbers after them. So I got them in with the policies
Okay.
that they really belong to. But some of them looked a little most of them look right on, but some of them look slightly off. And I kind of remember as we were doing it, the professionals made some suggestions that felt slightly off, but I wasn't gonna argue with the professionals.
And then,
So we'll have another professional look at it.
so I added in the policy 37. I've got the cross references to the goals, got those in, and then the implementing actions. We just need those cross references.
That's what I got done.
Okay. I meant for the new one that we're working on.
Oh, for the new
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see, adopt design standards right there. Number 3.
Actions.
So implement action number 3, that adds policy 37.
Okay, we might even do something like the collaborate with housing agencies.
That's what I was gonna say, number 7, okay?
Yeah.
3, 7, and add that to 37, okay? Alright,
There's a couple of them on here.
those are P's, okay. Next one, okay.
Evaluate, modify, which is 25,
25?
if you think.
Perfect, yes. So that goes to policy 37, and this goes to implementation number 25. Okay. 26 too.
Yeah, and 27.
And 28.
Okay, 26, 27, 28, and that goes with 37. So, 37, 37, and 37. Okay. All right. Think that gets it for the new one. Okay. So we added in, we're done with 4. Number 5 was the wording on P06. That's actions. Hardest part is keeping these in order. Okay, P06. Right there. P06. And what did you recommend? To include multifamily housing into and nearby the mixed-use business district. Okay.
So where are we?
Page, packet page 9 or page 19, P06, adding, the words multifamily housing in here. So allow multifamily housing to be located near CBD and public transit routes. This will increase density and foot traffic in the CBD. And he's saying to include multifamily housing into and nearby the mixed-use business district at Trenton, Argonne.
Okay, but Trenton Argonne is not really a business district.
Yeah, it's just the commercial district.
We have defined C2 on Argonne, so the
Yeah.
Argonne Business District and the Trent Business District.
Oh, but public transit routes does cover the commercial district there.
I mean, that could be just have a read, allow multifamily housing to be located near central business district and Trenton, Oregon,
Well,
and the, yeah, whatever,
Yeah,
and so we've defined CBD and we've talked about Trent, right?
yeah,
So we could list out Trent
okay.
too,
CBD,
located near CBD,
And also along Trent Avenue.
yes.
and also along Trent Avenue with public transit routes.
Now, this is aimed right at what we just wrote on that policy 37 too.
Yeah.
Because we've just now decided we're going to push multifamily housing on Trent. That's new.
Avenue.
You like the luxury apartments in Riverstone and Coeur d'Alene? They have all the apartments above all the commercial area. It's actually really lovely.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
So it now reads oh, sorry.
it's a wonderful concept.
Allow multifamily housing to be located near CBD, comma, and also along Trent Avenue near public transit routes.
Yeah,
This will increase density and foot traffic in the CBD and commercial areas.
That sounds nice.
Okay.
now we are rewriting the way it's currently stated. It would encourage it on Vista, for instance. And this will get rid of the Vista. This would encourage it anywhere there's public transit.
Yeah,
And so we're taking that out of the policy.
yeah.
Okay,
So, I'll read the whole again. Allow multifamily housing to be located near, it should be the CBD, because it's a district, so near the CBD, comma, and also along Trent Avenue near public transit routes, comma. This will increase density and foot traffic in the CBD and commercial areas. Okay? All right, and then, all the references and everything, we're okay on that?
well, the actions are not, but we've got them here.
Okay,
The others are correct.
okay. All right, so we got that one now, that was number 5. And then number 6, I recommend striking policy P03 altogether. Limit barriers to development caused by development fees or other institutional requirements as appropriate. What was the rationale behind it?
the thought process.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's much appetite in communities to reduce permitting costs if it means having to foot the bill for the overhead of processing permitting.
That is correct, I believe. Yes, in most cases. The only reason I would say leave it in there is because as part of the new standards for like ADUs and stuff, if Millwood was to implement impact fees, because you can if you want to, this would allow you to do the waivers for affordable housing by having that language in there.
Well, the other thing is there's two parts to this. There's
It's the institutional requirement, yeah, it's the second part.
And actually, a couple of our actions are aimed at institutional requirements that have nothing to do with fees.
Yeah. I probably would leave it personally, but
I don't know.
And it says as
It's always
appropriate.
bothered me
Yeah.
somehow.
What's an example of institutional?
I'm trying to.
like project permit requirements.
20.
So now all this is going to get revamped. There's brand new timelines and everything. But what they're saying here is basically streamline things as much as possible, is how I would read it. So don't put in impediments that aren't needed.
26. Oh, really?
That was G2. So I guess the whole purpose of P03 is you wanna limit barriers where you can. Is that, does Millwood wanna limit barriers where you can?
Yeah, so evaluate and modify if necessary, design regulations for housing and businesses is one of the actions. So it's always the concept bothers me that we're going to cut down development fees for private contractors, but we're gonna raise our fees for the neighborhoods that are trying to argue against these projects going in, so we're giving the advantage to the profit makers and not to our local people. It's kind of across.
What about
Concept
just
of-
saying limit barriers to development caused by institutional requirements as appropriate?
Yeah,
Because essentially an institutional requirement includes the fees.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel more comfortable not calling out, let's cut down on fees for.
Okay. What do you think about that, Bill, since you proposed it?
Yeah, if that's what you think.
Okay.
As appropriate kind of leaves it pretty subjective, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure a developer would think in all kinds of things.
Well, and this is the guiding policy, obviously the implementation is what drives it.
But at least we're not calling out to them that we should, that our plan says to cut development fees.
Yeah.
You know, at least we're leaving it so if it's appropriate, we can, if it's Habitat for Humanity and they're putting this just really wonderful project in, then we can, it's in our,
Okay. So institutional, take out development fees or other?
yes.
Okay. All right, so that was number 6, and then number 7, add LU to P16. P19 and P20. 16 is for forestry program. Okay, so LU on that.
By the way, what was transportation in urban forestry for?
I think it's because so much of our urban forest are street trees.
Oh, probably.
And that's part of transportation.
Transportation, all of our streets are transportation, so.
City community management and treatment of stormwater. So you want on the stormwater, land use on the stormwater as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. LU. And P20, manage stormwater runoff to minimize contamination during development.
Yeah,
Okay,
land use is a big part of that, sure.
all right. That took care of 7, and lastly, number 8. I wasn't sure about the connection between transportation and urban forestry in
I think we just
P16.
Cleared it up.
Okay, it was the street trees. Okay, all right,
Thank you for taking the time to do
Yes.
this, Bill. This is
thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's Bill's. Next, do you want to go through Bobby's implementation action review?
Well, do you wanna, I'll hand it over to you at least. I'm not sure if it's worth going through or it's just.
If you want it, I think that we're okay if you just take a look at that. and-
Okay.
And make the appropriate.
Thanks for doing that, Bobby.
Yes, thank you.
Both-
Okay,
both you guys.
so I will go through this and adjust as needed.
Now,
All right.
the first part of that there were some things and goals, that's mostly actions, but there were some things and goals and policies where they cross-referenced, like a policy said it was for G6 or something, but the G6 didn't have that particular
Yes.
policy down, so those are noted too.
Perfect, G6 and G3, so example,
Well,
policy
those
1.
actually are different
Oh.
because those have question marks.
Oh, that you think they should be added.
If it's a question mark,
Okay.
that's my opinion.
Okay,
If it doesn't have a question mark, it's just plain fixing the
okay, like
cross-reference.
P7 adding G4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yes.
And then you have an X next to P3 in the chapter listing?
That was because I thought it was gonna go away.
Oh, okay, so cross the X out?
Yeah, forget
Okay.
the X.
Okay. All right. And the implementing actions is pretty clear cut on that.
We
Okay,
may-
question
we may
mark
want
when that, we have G1, okay.
That one with the X next to P3, we may want to look at whether wording needs to be changed with us changing the wording on goal.
Oh, okay, so I'm taking out the fee portion,
Well,
it
okay, so-
references G2. G2 types and finance for community
So I
and
think
business
it was
development, okay, that's fine.
Action,
137, so action item 1.
3, 7, one of these action items is just, 23.
Action item 23, okay.
Evaluate,
Evaluate and modify if necessary the city's development code fee structure, so that would come, well, we could, because remember, we said, it can be anything. Okay,
just need to think about it.
yeah, and then, so that's. So 1, 3, and 7. So you're saying, the implementing action for limiting barriers is utilizing the central business district plan, okay? Cause you basically are laying out what, you're doing it like a form-based, what you want it to look like. And then 3, adopt design standards, yep.
This isn't me, this is from the original.
Oh, okay, and then 7, yep, okay. 3, 7, yep. 26, refine business to strong districts, okay. And 28, evaluate development areas, perfect. Yeah, that looks good. And G4. Okay, question G1 on that one. Okay. Adding G4, G10. Okay. And then those. Okay, and all the, on the action numbers, you had on your action chart, you circled the number 1 on action number 4.
Action. Policy 1, policy 1.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I can see it both ways.
Yeah. Not sure, I think I intended to go back and erase that and didn't.
Okay, so ignore that.
Yeah,
Okay. And then adding,
unless it just plain wasn't. 1. Policy.
and then implementing action number 11, possibly adding policy number 30.
Yes.
Identify and prioritize.
No, not adding 30. That's one that, I think
Oh,
that
instead of
20
20, it
was
should be
supposed to
30.
30. 20 makes no sense.
Gotcha. Well,
And given the order that they are written in, I think it's just a typo.
should be 30, yeah.
We do need to add 1 to that though.
Adding number
Listed
1 as well. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
so.
And then you had an X next to number 23.
That was because I was hoping that was gonna go away.
Oh, okay, but we're using it as an implementing under the policy, okay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, this one, it wouldn't be 20, it would be 30, okay.
Yeah.
And the CFP in that case includes list of street improvements, yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, no, I think those look good.
I think that's
Thank
what they
you.
were originally.
Yeah, and honestly, that's where it looked really confusing to me, was when it got into the implementing actions, I'm like, whoa, these aren't right. Okay, perfect, I will get those incorporated as well there then. Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Wu or Amy?
Okay, Jay, I don't want you to be the forgotten guy here. Do you have anything?
Thank you. I've got my sound turned up, but it's difficult to hear exactly everything that's going on. But I do have a question. that, and I don't want to be nitpicking, but should all goals and actions include P36, which is ensure overall comprehensive plan consistency with applicable countywide planning policies?
Yes, it should. Okay, so
Good job, Jay.
P36 goes to all goals. Okay.
Right, all goals and impact on actions.
So
Good catch, Jay.
All the way from Hawaii.
All-
I didn't know if that would be
36.
assumed or not, but.
We
yeah.
have 36 on that one. Okay.
You've only got 36 listed on 5 of our goals. And I didn't count up the action items, not that many. So anyway, I just thought it should be included because that could govern a lot of things that we want to accomplish.
And especially when the countywide planning policies now have what we have to abide by for affordable housing and climate. So
Okay,
6, perfect.
That's
Thank
it.
you. 36, adding
Yes,
thank you.
6.
thank you. Commissioner Wu, anything?
No,
I don't have anything. You guys did great.
nailed it.
You guys, yeah.
Appreciate your attention to details.
So, something to be said for being retired.
Touche.
Did I start? Where's policies?
Okay,
I did.
so-
I kept going. Oops.
Okay, so my question to Amanda and city staff here, so this is an action item. Are we voting on anything on this, or are we waiting for it to come back?
You'll come back. So,
So we've completed the action that was
yes.
required of us
and
tonight.
then anything else if you wanted to talk about to prepare for the workshop at the next meeting? So if there's any other, your next meeting, I'm gonna hold a public and planning commission workshop on chapters 1 to 4 to go over these and the proposed modifications and everything, and get any informal feedback before we start moving towards the hearing, and everything. So I figured we'd hold that next meeting.
So that will be an important time to get the word out to the public.
Yes, I will be sending it out through the email list, and anybody who thinks there should be other changes to these, I'll update these and I'll put these out there, and we'll have them all available, so. Yeah,
Okay.
Nice to get some engagement.
We could put those on the website earlier before the packet if you'd like.
oh, I will, yes,
Yes,
I'll add
okay.
them to the website, yes.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I get all the changes incorporated in. And then we had a few other little red lines, I think, from previous meetings, so I'm gonna make sure it's all updated in one place.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Okay. So are we ready to move on?
I believe we are. The one thing on the P36 on implementing action, that's where I just needed to add it on that. Okay. So add P36. Okay.
Okay, great. Good work, everybody. I know this is tedious, so. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 5, and that is our city planner report.
All right. So, obviously you had your joint meeting and we got through the land capacity analysis. I believe we are the second jurisdiction to adopt our land capacity analysis. I actually have a little additional information from our steering committee of elected officials meeting today. Right now, the county is showing in their preliminary numbers that they do not have enough land capacity to accommodate their portion of the growth. But overall, so far, the urban jurisdictions show that they do. So if you move the numbers around like you're supposed to, we should be able to accommodate it within the county. But at this point now, it's in the elected's hands to see what we're gonna do about moving the shells around or looking at UGA expansion. So That's a brief summary of that part.
Okay.
And then, I guess, are there any questions on any of the projects that I reviewed in December? No? Okay.
Well, no, hang on. We're
okay.
looking at the,
I
okay, so
was
one
looking at
thing,
Bill's.
so, no problem. So one thing that,
Yes.
this, body has been really hardcore on is signs. And I
Yes.
see you've got a sign replacement, so hopefully it, falls into our sign policy.
It sure does.
Perfect, cool.
Yep. And in fact, that was actually it. Thank you for bringing that up. Something to keep in the back of your mind as that one is being put up. See what you think about it, because Millwood does not have a policy that prohibits roof signs.
A permit.
Prohibits roof signs. So you have a
Roof signs.
policy that limits a wall sign. So literally, it's a single-story building, and I couldn't allow it on the wall because the building wasn't tall enough. So they proposed, I double-checked with our city attorney, there is no policy in the code that prohibits roof signs.
Oh, this is
Where is this at?
green light.
Green
It's the marijuana shop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right here.
a lot of codes
By
prohibit
the
roof
old
signs.
There used to be
Now-
an
now-
A&W there.
Now we're telling how old we are. You know what we're talking, you know what I'm talking.
Yeah. So as you're driving around, take a look when they get those switched out. So they remodeled the freestanding one, and then they switched out the wall.
Their lights are quite catchy. They're very bright.
So
Yeah.
why aren't we tall enough?
I'd have to go back and look at the exact wording, but I remember. Yeah, I think it said that a wall sign had to be 10 feet
Above the ground.
above the
ground
ground.
level.
It was
And
a
it's
it was
short, it's
yeah
a small building.
yeah it was a thing I had never seen before, and I'm like,
Yeah. I know.
wait a minute, I've read this 3 times. It limits it where it has to be higher than that, which means it's only on 2-story buildings. And so then it was, well, how do we put a wall sign on there? And she came back with the just above the roof line proposal. We looked at it. I showed it to Brian. We're like, we don't see anything that prohibits it. In fact, the code is requiring.
Is it up yet? Do you know?
I don't know if it's up yet.
I'd have
you
to
seen?
look.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I want you guys to look at that and think of that when we update the signage standards. If you like it, if you don't like it. Personally, my recommendation would be strike the wall sign height requirement and don't allow roof signs, because that can get a little crazy. This one I think is gonna be fine. But if you don't have a prohibition on roof signs, that can go crazy quickly.
Yeah, I feel like it would look nice on the building too.
Yes.
And it probably looks silly on the roof.
But
Well, we'll see. We'll
size,
see what
size
they
and
do
lumens
with
are
it.
still.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
if
We'll
you're
see.
creative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, yeah, that's good to keep in mind.
Okay.
And no lights or, I mean, no blinking or not, it's not an electronic.
No, it's just solid.
Yeah, okay, that helps. So,
So the Whistle Punk Kitchen, that's right over here.
Right over
The
here,
old
it's-
Millwood Brewery.
Yep, they're converting the little structure that was a garage or
Mhm.
something, they're converting that to a commercial kitchen.
okay.
Yeah, so they can expand their food
Some
service.
chow.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I always wondered, they had an apartment there that they had,
Yeah.
that they said they were going to get rid of to have a kitchen.
it was just, I think, a
But
storage
they never
building.
did.
happened. No.
Well, it is now.
Is,
All
is
right.
that the lot they wanted to put parking on?
No,
No.
that's down the straightaway.
Yeah.
This is actually right on their property.
Yeah.
It was just a
Okay.
little tiny.
Did
And
Whistle
even-
Punk
oh.
buy that other property down the
No.
street? So that's still owned by the previous owners.
And I did, even though it's just a kitchen, I did analyze it for parking. Yes, they're totally fine on their
Okay, cool.
parking.
Good.
So,
Okay,
I have a question for one that's not on here.
Okay,
go ahead.
I know there's no real restrictions or rules, but is there something about demolition permits? Do they have to
Yes.
get a demolition permit?
yes and yes, through City of Spokane Valley on behalf of Millwood.
So why isn't that on here?
Because it was done, I didn't review it. It's not something I have to review. These are only the ones that I have to review.
Are you talking about demolition that just happened?
I'm talking about the National Historic Register listed building that they demolished, yeah. It seems like,
Ceremonial designated, yes.
what do you mean ceremonial designated?
So the Millwood Historic Register is on both the national and the state register. That is a ceremonial designation. The building, 2 doors down or now next to it, that one is actually on the Millwood Registry, as is the Rosebush House. Those two have got to comply with the certificate of demolition or certificate of alteration through the Historic Preservation Commission. The other ones do not.
Correct.
Okay, because they're ceremonial.
Correct, but it's not really ceremonial.
Oh,
It
that's how the
actually
state
is-
refers to it.
It is on, yeah, it's kind of an honorary thing. It doesn't
Yes.
stop, the only thing it stops you from doing is in case of a demolition, they cannot subtract that from their taxes. They can't take any kind of a tax break for any of the money that they put into demolishing it. So it isn't 100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
so the two that would have to have a certificate of demolition would be Rosebush or the commercial building that is also owned right there on the corner.
but you still need a permit,
You
don't
do.
you?
Through the city of Spokane Valley, yes, because they, so I don't review anything dealing with like a house remodel or a demolition, although I will tell you that a lot of times people do contact me and say, hey, just a heads up, we're gonna be applying for this. If it's one of those two register properties, then yes, it would have to come through me. Trying to think of another one, tenant improvement, I do sometimes.
Well, the house that burnt down, they got it, that one had to
That
have
one,
a
yeah, so I
demolition
didn't
permit.
review that demolition permit.
But they just
Yeah.
get that through Spokane Valley,
yeah.
the demolition permit.
Yeah, so there's some minor permits that don't come through Millwood at all, they just go straight through.
Okay.
Mechanical, plumbing, roofing, those all
I
straight
think They
through.
used to all come through here.
Well,
They were
we,
just passed off. I
Yeah.
mean, Immediately
the
passed
way
off,
the agreement
but-
works now is they would just make direct application to the valley unless it requires a site or design review.
Oh, that is a change.
Yeah.
That's different, because the last 2 or 3 projects I've done,
Mhm.
they came to Millwood and then it got passed off
Yeah.
to the county at that time it was.
So
So-
do we share in the revenue from those permits?
No. They pay directly. Now, if we have to do site or design review, then we have a separate fee, like a residential, design site,
Yes,
75?
site plan review.
75, yeah.
So we or the Preservation Commission might take a look at whether those should come through simply so we know about them. They say, I know we can't stop them, but it would have been nice if we'd encouraged him to take some photos before he,
Mhm.
demolished it, to do some kind of documentation on it or something.
I don't know. Does anybody know what the plans are for that spot? I'm just out of
Yes.
curiosity.
It's in pre-application at this point, but one of the, ones that I talked about, the mixed use. In fact, I'm, keeping it as kind of what would be Millwood's, how do you say this, like an anchor, so of what could be. We'll see if it comes through. It hasn't come into permit yet.
Is there room to have mixed use and parking?
There is.
I'm amazed, because that is a
Just
tiny
just
lot.
meets it. Just meets it.
That is
yeah.
a teeny tiny lot.
Yeah. They actually, it'll be a shared parking because they were short one stall. And so it'll be shared with the other property,
The construction company, right? That's right there.
which he owns all. He owns the blocks, so.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it just made it on parking count. And we're waiting for the application to come in for construction.
Good. Is that Conrad Manford that owns that?
It is.
Yes. Yeah.
Where's it at?
Where Fitness Fanatics just was, right here on, what's the street?
It was
Bobby?
the old post office. It was the Millwood Post Office.
Adjacent to the church parking lot.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I will be happy to report that in here as soon as it comes in.
No,
from
it's
permit.
not December business, sorry, you're just curious.
Yeah. Honestly, we were surprised nobody had said anything about
we
it.
haven't had
We were
one
like,
call.
oh, the building's gone,
Yeah.
just one day.
Well, it was there. I drove by it one night. The next
Yeah.
midday, the next day, gone. Nothing like it.
In one of my interviews that I held with the Millwood Downtown Association, they actually complimented the demolition company that did it. Very clean, I guess,
Yeah,
no
it was
impact.
cleaned out, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Rob's Demolition,
Oh, did
Yes.
Rob do it?
Rob's Demolition.
Yeah,
They did a
So-
great job.
yeah. Well,
That's
good.
all I've heard is how good a job they did.
He's good.
Any other questions on Amanda's report? Cool, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Okay, that brings us to public remarks. Do we have anybody that signed in that wanted to make any comments?
Tina says no. Yep. Tina says there's nobody
Anybody
signed
else?
in.
No, nobody signed up, so,
Nobody signed up.
okay, well,
You
we
don't have to
appreciate.
sign up.
No, you don't
We-
have
we-
to sign up.
We appreciate the audience being here though, so appreciate that, okay? Any commissioner remarks? Well, we're gonna start with Jay since he's, we're on the air with Jay. Any commissioner remarks?
No, I think everybody did a great job. Bill's comments were great, and Amanda's done a wonderful job of putting this all together. So that's my compliments to everybody.
Great. Jay, I think you should think about a broadcast career. You look pretty good on the screen there.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I put a lot of work into this, Mike.
Commissioner Ankeny, can I just make one quick comment on the remarks? There were some remarks in your packets that were
Yep.
from our,
Yep.
right, I mean, they were submitted at like 4:10
Okay.
on the date of our last meeting in November.
Great, okay,
So, and then we hadn't had one, so they are in there for your review.
okay, great. Thank you for mentioning that. So we need to back up to agenda item number 6. There are some public remarks in our packet. There were a couple of emails in regards to the river access, and I think they were talking about the East Riverway property. So just want to make sure to call attention to those. Hopefully you guys had a chance to see those.
Yeah, I read all these.
Okay, I've read all those. I'm sure everybody read all of them. Great, thank you.
And these will be considered just like the community survey, the interviews, everything.
Good.
Yeah.
So, perfect,
Yeah.
okay.
One quick question. I noticed that there's a pocket request for property that's for sale down on South Riverway. Is that just off Argonne? I'm not aware of that property.
No, I think they were confused. They're talking about the land that the city already owns.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Some people have said we should sell it, so they were thinking maybe it's for sale, but we should use it to.
Okay, perfect.
okay. It was a little confusing, I think. It made it sound like there were two separate parcels, but I didn't see anything on
No.
west of Bessie or Sargent that's for sale. So that's why I was questioning that.
Cool.
I actually went out and went for a walk looking for a for sale sign, figured
Okay,
The only one I knew of is
Alright.
the new home.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Back to commissioner comments. Commissioner Rickard. Okay, Commissioner Beasy. Commissioner Wu.
I do just appreciate the comments from our fellow residents.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Good work once again on your guys' comments as far as what we did earlier, and appreciate the public on their comments here, and appreciate the public being in attendance. So the next meeting is scheduled for February 26th here in the city chambers, and looks like we're going to review some of the draft comprehensive plan and visioning policies and goals of action. So.
So I'll be incorporating in what was required for the goals and policies based on the checklist that we had to complete for the state. I think we've seen some of it, but I'm gonna go through it again. And then I will also be updating, I have a little more information on the demographics. I just received information for the diversity, equity, racially disparate impacts, sorry, RDI. Racially disparate impacts, which is another requirement we have to have in the housing element. The state provided me with new demographic data for us, and so I will be including that in under our demographics as well. And then putting some finishing touches on the Parks and Recreation element. I was able to do most of the interviews for that. I need to complete believe it's one more. I'm trying to schedule, playing a little bit of scheduling phone tag with Vicky from the Conservation District. We haven't had a chance to sit down yet, but I had a chance to sit down with the school district, with Department of Ecology, with the Argonne Library, because in our capital facilities now, we have to include both the school district and the library. I was able to sit down with Millwood Community Association Group, Millwood Now, and one more. Anyway, and they're great. I've had fantastic information
Yeah,
come out of them.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, it was about 5 hours, I believe, worth of interviews. But some things I, off the top of my head, found out that I can think of is when it comes to safe routes to school, the West Valley School District has a policy in place. Students will not cross Argonne or the train tracks.
Yeah.
So safe routes to school funding, if we want to target sidewalk improvement, you're looking over here is the biggest thing. That would be priority, and then expanding the rest to get to the park and stuff. Another thing I found out that I was talking with Commissioner Ankeny when we came in was I'll be talking with Barry Green at the county and getting updates on the study that's being done at the Argonne Up River Drive intersection.
Yeah.
Yes, the exploring that for a better connection to the Centennial Trail. In addition to, it was brought to my attention that if you come off the interurban trail, I hadn't considered it because Trent didn't have fantastic pedestrian connectivity there, but there is, if you follow Trent along the north side, all the way to where it intersects the river, there is an actual Centennial Trail connection there.
I take that frequently.
Okay, the only one I knew about was the informal through Coyote Rock. And so I will actually be adding both of those to the inventory list.
And you can actually go Millwood Trail then up onto Trent
Yes,
and down to.
yeah, off of the frontage road.
How are we gonna do that? Sorry, say that again. So the Millwood Trail, how do we get to the frontage?
So from the interurban trail, where it dead ends,
Yeah.
you take a right on that frontage road that runs in front of the 2 acre property
There.
and stuff, and then it leads you right up to Trent.
There's an official path to Trent at the
Yeah.
end of the Millwood Trail. It takes you up on this side of the
Yeah, that's where
overpass.
Fitness Fanatics used to be.
Used to be, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I've come up there a lot of times.
And that's
Maybe
what she
like-
said, she mentioned the old Fitness Fanatics is right there where it accesses.
Yeah, I could use some improvements. Several times I've been in that parking lot. It's not safe.
So I will be updating the inventory with that as well. So when we're looking at overall connectivity projects, I also talked with SRTC about connecting interurban to the west. And he said, quick question, what about to the east? And I said, well, it crossed railroad tracks, so I hadn't even looked at it. And so that'll be something else that we can discuss if you're interested in possible connection to the west and the east for the interurban trail.
So it could follow the train tracks instead of having to go on the street.
Yeah.
Which would be so much better.
But it would have to go, you've got Trent and you got a lot of barriers right there that are in the valley.
The original idea was that it would connect, that the valley would build so it would go under the underpass next to the railroad tracks and end up at the mall.
Okay. So really then it sounds like the west and the east would be referenced, not just the
It's
west.
just getting the city of Spokane
Yeah.
Valley to show any interest.
And he did mention the options on the west side. And so in the wording where we already added potential to the west, I'll add to the east then. Okay.
So my question was how you chose who the stakeholders that you talked to and which ones you didn't talk to.
Well, I've tried to talk to as many as possible. I send invitations out, whether or not that I got responses. I can tell you that I sent and communicated with Millwood Neighborhood Advocates, but never got a response back on scheduling a time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one.
History enthusiasts? Millwood history enthusiasts?
I did not, only because we weren't updating the historic preservation section. But I did talk to Shireen and to Jeff Postlethwaite.
Yes, neither of which is.
Yeah.
history enthusiast.
Yeah, I didn't do the history because we weren't updating the historic preservation section. So I was focusing on the Parks and Recreation folks, and then also the ones for capital facilities, that would go with Parks and Recreation. And that was West Valley School District and the library, the Spokane County Library.
I'm seeing some disadvantages to
But
that.
if there's anybody else you think I should interview, let me know and I'll add them. Email it to me, or just after the meeting, let me know and I'll see if I can reach out to them. So,
So backing up to Commissioner Marks, because you reminded me of something. So something to take into consideration when she's talking about the intersection of Upriver Drive and Argonne. The county is, if you haven't heard this, the county is seriously thinking about putting a roundabout there.
Yeah, yes.
So when we're planning and knowing what's going to happen with Argonne through here, we probably ought to take that into consideration.
We ought to, but they haven't.
Yeah, right.
They chose not
No,
to.
I get it. They think they're the homeowner.
They chose not to. They
And
said
then
it had
the-
nothing to do with them.
Then the only other thing is you made a comment here, just here at the last. And explain to me the difference between DEI and R.
oh,
Yeah.
my apologies. So DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah,
What we specifically have to look at as a city is the housing of racially disparate impacts in the housing element. So specifically, are there goals or policies that are in the housing element that would inadvertently create a disparate impact to a minority group, for example? The way I'm going to do that is by, because we are considered a small city, so we can't hold the big, huge things. We just don't have the demographics to do it. So I've already selected a couple folks that I'm going to be reaching out to for interviews. And again, if anybody else knows anybody that would be great to talk to on that, I'm going to be doing it as firsthand interviews on their experience of building a house in Millwood or running a business in Millwood. Those kinds of things to see if there's any policies that we are not aware of that creates racially disparate impacts.
So then my question to you is this, and I'm trying to figure out how to word it specifically. Given what the new president did with DEI policies and the verbiage that he's considering and limiting federal funds to those organizations that recognize that, how is that going to impact?
As of now, there is no change to our comprehensive plan update requirements.
This is Washington State. We've got them between
No,
us and him.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay, perfect. I run a nonprofit that personally, and
Yeah.
when that came out, and you guys know my connection with Habitat for Humanity, and you know, perfect. Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
I have one
Lisa,
thing.
go ahead.
We are going to, I believe we have finally gotten a date for a Historic Preservation Commission meeting.
All
Oh,
right.
hallelujah, it only took, I don't even know. Anyway, I think it's gonna happen in February, early February, so very excited about that. And then Amanda, also, I was wondering, as far as for the public workshop at this next meeting, any additional preparation that we need to make, that I need
So-
to make to be prepared for a workshop situation? What do you envision for that?
Just like we did, well, we had set up for the visioning. We will have the changes that are proposed to be up on the screen when we go through.
Okay,
And it'll just be an informal, no,
lots of coming up to the mic sort of thing,
yeah,
or
or
just
even, depending on how the planning commission would like to run it, just conversing with the audience.
Okay.
That's
so-
the difference between a hearing and a workshop, is
So-
open question,
Well-
answer, free.
Will part of the meeting, will it be recorded then, or will it?
It would be a
not-
normal
even
planning
though-
commission meeting.
Even
Yeah.
though there'll be that kind of interaction, it'll still be recorded, that part will be recorded? Okay.
Yeah.
That
And
was
on
what
the
I was wondering.
minutes, it may likely just say, workshop held,
Okay.
and then
Okay,
you can refer to the recording,
Okay,
because it's real
gotcha.
hard to do minutes on a
yes,
workshop.
okay, gotcha. Okay,
Great,
Yep.
thanks. All right.
Okay.
With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
bye.
Any opposed?
I,
Yeah, there you go.
sorry for the delay.
No problem. All
Bye,
right.
Jay.
Bye.
Bye, Jay.
Meeting adjourned.
Aloha.
Oh.